Welcome to The Bank is Open, presented by Pickett Sports Props.cash, breaking down the night in the NBA. Not a lot of games, so we'll probably move on to some NFL after that, talk on some different things. The usual cast on Tuesday, NicLarson, Brian Moran, BrianVsTheBooks. What's going on, guys?
Nick, you go first. I always go first. So you come
I
in
was
here.
trying to
You
set
went
you up to
first
go
by
first.
saying I'm not going first. You went first.
But I could tell
Uh,
he was waiting for me to
big-
go. So I was
it's a big night. We've got Jazz Kings. That's why there's only 3 games tonight, because they're
Yes.
featuring that game.
Yes.
the marquee matchup of the
Yeah.
year. It's a small slate. It's actually a slate where this sounds bad, but I'm actually excited to kind of just have one or two spots and then you go to bed before, the late, because the late game's even at 9. There's no 10 or 10:30 games, and I could just kind of have a nice night to maybe get something productive done that's not watching basketball.
Yeah, we got Wizards, Bucks, we got Celtics, Thunder, and we have the Jazz and the Kings. As Nick mentioned, I guess we'll just kick it off in order here. Washington in Milwaukee, Bucks laying 8, total 230. Nick, this is your squad. This is your Bucks. Start us off here, Bucks and Wizards. Who do you like?
Yeah, it's a rematch of a few days ago. The Bucks had basically everybody out that game and got blown out by the Wizards. They have Giannis back, Holiday back. Should be a different turn of events, I think, here. Still not sure on Beal, right?
Beal is a game time decision, but he did go through shoot around, so I can tell you we know absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I
It's a
think
good
the
update.
Bucks. I think I think the Bucks come back in a big way tonight. I like Giannis rebounds in this game. Prior to sitting a couple of games, he was on an absolute tear on the boards. He had 22 and 20 in back-to-back games. The Wizards, I don't think have anyone that can stop him in that area. I don't know
Are you not
who they
worried
put
about
on.
Tingus Pingus?
Yeah, I don't think he's
Tingus
got
Pingus?
I don't think he's got the speed or strength to keep up with Giannis. So I'm gonna run Giannis. It sounds crazy. Like, I mean, looking at these numbers, it just sounds crazy, but the numbers he puts up are even crazier. So I'm gonna run it as high as they go, or as high as I can get it. Up to 17 rebounds is like plus 500. So
It's
I also
crazy
like
to
the
think about.
it's nuts, but like I said, some of
Plus
these stat lines
500.
lately, yeah, are
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, like the other day, Randall once again hit his 16 rebound ladder.
Yeah. And
So
he did it. Yeah, it was yesterday. Randall had 8 rebounds in the first
in the first
quarter
quarter, yeah.
because the Suns do not know how to. It actually, outside of Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton, I think it took 16 field goal attempts for the Suns' other teammates to make a shot. Like, it
I
was
messaged you during that game
insane.
and said, "Are we watching a real NBA game right
I
now?"
honestly was so excited for an early game at 3 o'clock on like the day after New Year's. I was so excited for it, and I was watching it, and I was like, dude, they have 20 points after the quarter. They look awful. Like no one can make a shot. And the Suns love to do this thing where they use these role players that are like average shooters and just let them chuck like 43s, and it just does not work. It doesn't work at all.
They weren't going in, that's for sure.
Definitely not. Well, it helped. Were you on Randall yesterday?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I thought you were. I thought you were. So yeah, you were fine with it. I mean, miss shots and just let them destroy the glass there.
That should have been a slam spot now that I think about it, because think about it. The Suns, they had New Year's Eve off in New York. So, I mean, they're probably not going to bed at 10 o'clock at night, just having their milk and cookies. They might have had a good time, and they're
They
not
actually looked drunk.
yeah.
Like they looked drunk. Like you can speculate, but they looked like they were still drunk. Like on the court, it was ridiculous. Chris Paul had 0 points at half. Like it's one of those things. I'm pretty sure Chris Paul played a lot of the fourth solely so he didn't end at 0 points. Like he was taking every shot in the fourth as a way to be like, yo, I scored 14. That's not too bad. Like yeah, he was.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, forever that's been the Knicks on home at home on those Sunday matinees, which they tend to play a lot of those. Those are usually pretty good spots to back the Knicks, because look, they're used to being in New York. It's special for the other team. All right, we're in New York City and on a Saturday night, because the Knicks usually play those Sunday matinee games, and I think you magnified a little bit on New Year's Eve. So that was one looking back, man. Probably a missed
yeah.
opportunity there with the Suns. Anything for you that you haven't gotten in on this game, Brian, before we move on?
So the one thing is that if Bradley Beal does play one of those spots, I've played once or twice. I think it's twice. If like when Beal's in, is I actually like Monty Morris. He gets these 9.5 point lines, and when Beal's in, I like to take his under because his field goal volume just drops so much with Bradley Beal and Porzingis out there, that you see his assist usage go up. But I mean, when you have those two guys both healthy, Monty Morris is not the guy you're going to be feeding to try to, score double-digit points some nights. So that's usually a spot I look into as long as Beal gets ruled in. So that's going to be my other spot today. Because as you mentioned, MSG on a Saturday night, could you imagine being in Milwaukee on a random Tuesday? That's even more crazy.
Yes.
The party scene out there. So they're going to be
Applebee's at 8:45 with those little riblets or whatever they serve. Absolutely, yes.
So I compare Milwaukee nightlife to New York City. So it's basically the same thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards come out flat.
It's a great point. It's a great insight. That's why you're on the show.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on?
I don't think so. I think, like I said, that's a good spot. And I do think, Beal or not, this is a spot with Holiday back that, I lean the Bucks. I don't really play many spreads, but they're laying 8 right now, and that doesn't seem too crazy because I think the Wizards had this win streak, but I never really fully bought into it. They beat my Sixers. They look great, but overall, I don't think they stack up as much to actual good teams, not fake good teams like the Sixers.
I might take Milwaukee, just throw them in a money line parlay with something I like this weekend in the NFL. Maybe throw them with something else with Georgia money line for the national title game. Maybe I'll just use that as a little piece which is always dangerous in the NBA. Anybody can beat anybody, but like you guys said, as a rebound spot here, they're home. They'll probably bounce back. So maybe, minus 300 or so on the money line, minus 315. Maybe if Beal plays, you get that like right around 300 or a little under. It's not a bad money line piece. Put that with Georgia, and you're probably not quite at even money, but you find the Chiefs or something. Bucks, Chiefs, Georgia money line parlay probably gets you down to a reasonable bet. So I'll probably use Bucks money line in something.
Texans.
Texans. I'm not playing the Texans. The Texans Colts is a fascinating. We'll talk some NFL here coming up. That's a fascinating one and coming up because boy, that's a lot of implications there. I wonder if the Colts will tank, say, hey, you know what, Texans, we're not letting you get the first pick. You're in our division. So a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, and the Colts, the last time they got a top pick, it worked out decently for them for a few years. The Texans always blow theirs except for like one or two. So it's only fair for the Colts.
No, absolutely. Moving on here, Celtics in Oklahoma City to play the Thunder. Celtics laying 9, total 233.5. Brian, you could start us off here. Celtics against the Thunder. Celtics, I don't think we'll hit double digits. We'll say 8.5, 9. I think it'll probably stay there. Celtics laying 9. What you got?
So this is actually a game where I know prop bet guy faded Tatum, which is something I looked at. This is going to be one of those games where there's just going to be a lot of pace in terms of the Celtics are so used to slowing down and not playing with pace, and it's a big pace up spot. But last time they played the Thunder, they actually outpaced them in terms of they scored 126, I believe, and their average for the Celtics is 15 fast break points a game. In that game, they had 24. So the Celtics are totally capable of running pace and running those fast break opportunities, which is why I'm actually taking stock in Marcus Smart. So one of the plays I had, if you put it up there, yeah. So it's an all same game parlay where I've been experimenting with these a little bit to kind of tease both his points and assists down. So I have Marcus Smart to score 10 points, parlay with him to score to have 6+ assists. And this really comes into play with those fast break opportunities where Smart runs the floor so well that when he's fronting that break, I think he finds so many chances to either find points for himself at the rim or to do a give and go for those assist chances. Last time he played the Thunder, he had 22 points and 8 assists in that game. So I like either one of these straight, honestly, but I just think the 6'10" is a great look in this matchup because, like I said, with the way the Thunder is just struggles to get back on defense, I think he's going to rack up the PA in that like transition defense there. So he actually only scored 1-3, which is usually how he scores a lot of his points in that game because he was doing so well in push and pace. So I like a lot of Marcus Smart tonight, and he's a really tough guy to figure out because sometimes he just doesn't show up to games. So taking a risk, but it's plus money, and I do think they outpace them here.
One of the guys you brought up, Rob Will, is out. So
yeah, which is also why I wanted to put this in earlier because it's funnily enough without Robert Williams, Marcus Smart's assist actually dropped, which makes sense in those PNR looks or in those overall lob it up to the rim, but his points go up. So I'm actually more worried about the points than anything with Marcus Smart because he's so consistent as a ball handler there with this assist. So I'm more concerned about the points. So without Robert Williams being in, he does see a bump in usage and a bump in points. So I think this does help him out without having RW out there.
Yeah, I thought about looking at Horford rebounds. The Thunder gave up the second most rebounds to centers, especially with Williams out now.
The Thunder give up a lot. They give up a lot of stats.
Yeah, especially like you said with the pace, they're moving it up and down. There is one. I had a question for you guys. There is a boost on FanDuel. We talked about these two guys already, Giannis and Tatum, to score 65 combined plus 125.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Say that again.
Giannis 65 between the two of them plus 125.
65.
I wonder.
So 65 is a win.
Yeah,
65 plus. Okay. Yeah, it's not.
See,
What's it boosted from?
minus 120.
Yeah, 65 plus. Not bad. I don't think it's
I will
bad.
say I do think it's funny when people talk about the boost world and the plus EV world, and because I think there's like context with it, because it almost seems like, oh well, Giannis is going off and so is Tatum and etc. But with Drew Holiday, I wonder what we're going to see from Giannis, because he could take a hit with some of the points, and if the Celtics run away with it, Tatum could rest early. So there's like different things in that where whenever I see those kind of boosts, like those are the two stars on this slate where I immediately identified as, I wonder if we see a downtick in their scoring. So it's funny that like they get boosted, and like without the context, people are like, oh yeah, it's Giannis. But it's like Giannis with Holiday returning and both set at like 8-point spread. So there's just so much more into it that I feel like people don't consider, and then they just get mad because Tatum dropped 28 and Giannis dropped like 26 or something like that.
And they're
like,
terrible, and they're never playing them again.
Yeah.
Put it this way: the original odds of minus 120, I would never bet. Like at plus 120 or plus 125, whatever you said it was. Like that's a reasonable. That's tempting, but like, yeah, sometimes they just boost it to what is a fair price.
Yeah, the blowout, like you said too, the blowout markets could come into effect here. I can see the Bucks up big and maybe stealing some rest minutes for Giannis at the end, or even Tatum. So
yeah, Eli just put in the group chat that he has them projected at like 55 combined. I'm not sure if he wanted me to share that, but I did share that.
I was just trying to be funny, you didn't have to tell everybody, but
because if they score 80 now, I want it to be on record that Eli had him at 55. No,
40,
because
40.
Because I do think this is a situation I mentioned with the Bucks game, and I mentioned with the Celtics game. The Celtics are another team that's just much better than the Thunder, and they're going to be totally okay trapping SGA and making anyone else on that team beat them, and they probably will struggle to beat them without SGA if he gets a little bit slowed down.
Yeah, I just put this one in: Bucks, Celtics, Jaguars, Chiefs, all money line parlay pays about plus 180. Jags playing the Josh Dobbs led Titans, which I actually think Dobbs is probably an upgrade over Willis.
Oh, for sure he is.
Yeah, I mean anybody. Boy, I know he went 85th, but
does that mean your bet still stands for Willis starting another game?
Yes, I don't think look, I mean, we saw a lot of guys this past weekend start games, Stidham and Purdy and random guys. You never expect David Blau, but I'm not 100% positive. Barring injury, I don't know if Willis ever starts again. To me, he's not an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, that was interesting because I like, as bad as he's been, I was surprised the day of the game they made that switch. That was kind of.
I thought they had to. I thought they had to. They were dead without him. They had to see what they had in Dobbs, and just I thought what would happen did happen. Where you know what, you throw him out there against the Jags, at least he can throw a forward pass. I mean, you can't just run that offense trying to win a division like that's not an NFL offense. I mean, I think Dobbs had like a 33 quarterback rating. I heard it was 3 times Willis's best game. I mean, Willis is basically like a wing T quarterback.
No, yeah. I mean, we saw Justin Fields last week too. I think what was his quarterback rating? Like 30.
When he couldn't run, I don't know why they left him out there. Oh my goodness, it's like they were trying to get him hurt. It was insane.
Which is crazy because they have nothing to play for. Really. I was surprised they just kept letting him get hit out. Like they kept designing runs for him, and I'm like, bro, this is like your future. Like he's shown that he actually has something there, and they were like, put him back out there.
He gets hit every play, and we'll get back to the NBA. He's dynamic. He is terrifying with the ball in his hands. But man, I don't know. That's a tough way to live when your franchise quarterback gets hit as much as he gets hit. I mean, he gets probably 15, 20 carries a game, 15 carries a game, 5 or 6 other times where you're getting hit. I mean, that's 200-300 hits a year. Like that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else Bucks Celtics here before we move on?
No, this is a rare time where I I like both heavy favorites. Like usually I
Yeah.
think like 8 points or 9 points is too high, but I just don't like. I think the Bucks and Celtics, like even without Robert Williams, are just so much better as teams in their matchups tonight.
Yeah. Would you guys think about throwing them in a money line parlay, or it's the NBA, you don't do that kind of thing?
I actually was looking at maybe doing like based on what we talked about on the show, is constructing some kind of like PPD, like all 3 games, like a fun parlay like that, like a player prop paired with money line, like a like a Giannis double and a win, like a smart 10 points and a win, something like that. Where oh my gosh, SGA was just ruled out. See, this is
Okay.
why the NBA is so annoying, because we talked about how you can't have an early NBA show.
How many points does it move, you think?
Oh my goodness. That's so funny. This is
It moved.
this is so funny because we were just talking about how
Only
you can't have an
379
early
on the money lines.
you can't have an early NBA game. Apparently,
Yeah.
you can't have a 6 p.m.
Right.
2 hours before tip-off game either.
Right.
That I kind of don't like that, because that kind of
Was this not expected at all?
not even he wasn't even on the injury report. Yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't on the injury report. He's hungover, I guess. That's
Right.
that's what that means. Because I actually was thinking SGA would be the one that could keep the starters in long enough for my play, but now it might just be an absolute rout.
Right.
So this is the best part about the show with you guys, is that we can spend 15 minutes talking about a game just for it all to be thrown away like a second later, because now nothing we talked about matters. Wow, that's
Yeah,
wild.
trying to get in here on some Boston's. Jam your Boston bets while you can. That's yeah. Oh, it's locked.
Yeah.
Interesting. I got some sites where it's not locked, and I feel like I should be playing it more.
Yeah,
What
honestly,
number would you go to? Would this, if you could find 9s out there, would you bet this now?
Yeah, this has to go to 11, right? There's no
Yeah,
way
it's gonna
this,
be
this
double
stays.
digits for sure.
I'm actually, if Fox has it up, I'll join you at 9.
Yeah. I'm playing a little first half, a little first quarter. I'm playing a little bit of everything.
Well, Fox just flagged me for not being a real person, so that's
It is
fun.
locked on FanDuel and
Yeah, it's locked
DraftKings. I'm
some
checking
places.
MGM right now. It is 10.5 on MGM.
Interesting.
I'm gonna take
Yeah,
it.
that's crazy.
Yeah. That's look, that's the NBA now. That's what we trying to
I
figure
will
out.
say, now that everyone
Oh,
has these
yeah.
illnesses, it's even tougher, because if you have these like quote unquote illnesses you're seeing on these places, it's almost like you can't even cap that. Like if someone randomly has an illness, it's not like you can have that in your back pocket to think about.
Right.
What
Absolutely.
what illness is going around right now? Because like D'Angelo Russell had it the other night. I mean, is that just a new thing that they're using, or is there
It
that many
could be,
guys sick?
honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like because even sometimes like load management, you could just say illness like now. Like
Right.
the Clippers are gonna have a field day with the whole
With
illness
illnesses.
designation. They're gonna love using that.
Well,
Yeah,
didn't
so that's
Kawhi
interesting.
wasn't that what Kawhi was out with? Illness?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think that's one of those things where you can start copping out of the injury management or the load management and just say illness. I think it was who was it last night? Nurkic. Nurkic was sick and he played 2 minutes and checked out. He did come in later in the game, but he was listed as sick and he missed like 2 rotations. And it was kind of interesting to watch. And then he was out for the rest of the game later in the game. So yeah, if you can get anything under 10, I think that's a safe bet, because I don't know if you've ever watched the Thunder without HGA, but it's like watching Nick. It's like watching Nick out there hooping in the NBA. It's very sad to watch. They're not very.
All threes right here.
And they don't have Durant
Yeah.
anymore. They don't have Harden. They don't have Westbrook. Last I checked, I can get research on that. But those guys are.
I haven't checked, but
I
I
can't
didn't realize
confirm
that.
I can't confirm.
I thought this was like what 2012. Like this.
Would you go team total under here with OKC?
I guess the only worry you have with team total under is if it does become a rout and you get those garbage time minutes where everyone just starts hitting open threes. It could sit. Yeah, it's 11.5 now, which makes sense. I figured it would. There's no way it would stay under 11. Wow,
You see this though when a team's superstars out, the other team's like, oh, their superstars out. We get an easy night off and they end up losing. Like how many times? What was it? The Nets was it the Nets played the Sixers, and the Sixers didn't have Harden, Maxey, and Beaton. There's a million examples of this, and Nets were like laying 9 and got absolutely stomped. So we see this a lot. Be careful. Go easy. If you got the best of the number, have at it. I wouldn't suggest chasing the number though, because you never know.
I'll say that's a good point. Is that I would advise that as well. If you were able to run to your book and get 9, that's great. But 11.5 is now capped without SGA, which is the big thing I like to tell people is like if you can get the better line, but once SGA is out and they can adjust, they know what they're doing in terms of setting a new line. So if you get 9, great. If you want to tease it and use, Wizards money line against the garbage team, the Bucks. Yeah, I'm kidding. So that's interesting. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there. It's interesting to see what they will do for Josh Giddey, because this actually might be a spot where you can fade Josh Giddey, because if he becomes their focus on defense and his line gets really inflated, that's actually not a bad spot if he gets a good line.
Yeah, and again, like there's some minus. I'm looking at a minus 385 money line for Boston in a faraway place. Like want to just throw that in with the Chiefs or the Jags or something else. The Georgia. It's not sexy playing a minus 385 money line, but if you throw it into a parlay as a nice piece, that could be a way to go about it as well. Anything else before we move on to the game of the night, the main event?
No, that was a crazy wrench in the slate, which is typical. But yeah, I'm all good about talking to the best game of the slate. The over-under is 243.
The Jazz of Utah are hosting the Kings of Sacramento in a game that will change the course of history. Nick, it's only right that you start out here. Jazz, Kings. Do they both win?
I mean, I asked Brian earlier. I said, "What do I do?" And he said, "Just bet both sides of it." So
parlay
together. You can't lose.
Can't lose.
You can't lose.
I could see them both winning. I could definitely see that.
No, this is. I mean, hopefully this lives up to a up and down bunch of points scored. I've been looking at Sabonis' stuff since it came out last night, trying to figure out which angle I was going to take. His rebounds seemed a little bit high. It was like 13.5, and his assists have kind of been hit or miss lately. So I decided to go with his points ladder, starting at 20.5, and then going all the way up to 30. He's hit 20. He's hit over 20 in 8 of his last 10. A few days ago against Utah, he dropped 28 against them. I don't think Walker Kessler is a good matchup for Sabonis' style. And I think Vanderbilt's probably a little small. I don't know if he'll see Olynyk or who's going to primarily guard him, but as long as he stays out of foul trouble and gets the minutes in, I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him to score the basketball. And I also like the Kings to win the game on the money line.
That's groundbreaking analysis by the biggest Kings fan and also the biggest Jazz fan at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to
you know what this is like? This is like when Steph Curry plays Seth Curry and his parents sit in the stands, and one of them, they got the half Blazers, half Warriors jersey.
I should have worn my split jersey tonight, but I forgot. It's in the wash right now.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because you have one, of course.
They just played the other day. They just played the other day, so I was wearing it, so it's not clean yet.
What jersey is it?
That's fair.
Huh?
Whose jersey is it?
What's the split on it, you mean?
Yeah, it's a split. Answer it right now. Like, you have 3 seconds.
Well, the Jazz half is obviously Greg Ostertag.
No, is it really?
And then Kevin Garnett, or not Kevin Garnett, my bad. The Kings is Chris Webber. Chris Webber.
It's a fake. It's a fake jersey. We all knew it. That proves
Ostertag.
Well, the Ostertag took up most of the jersey. It's more like a 3/4, 1/4 jersey with Ostertag.
Greg Ostertag's reference on the pod cashes at plus 1,000. I mean, the fact
that was crazy. That was a crazy random old play to take.
I'm just so happy he made it on the show. I'm just delighted.
I mean, somebody hit a big bet tonight, so I'm happy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, this is It's funny because I kind of took Will's thunder a little bit to do his little intro, but I said it before he even brought the game in. But 243 is the over under. That's just when I saw that this morning. Holy hell, that is like almost like a fake number. But
it's crazy.
Would you be surprised if you see a 130, 138 game? Like I would. This is one of those games.
Kings Nuggets was up there last week too. They know that they're expecting the points here. So. I don't know. I feel so uncomfortable. Like you don't want to have an under in that game, but you don't want to have an over. It's like if you go like 30 seconds, a minute without scoring, it's like, oh, my pace is shot here. But
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a tough
you
one.
missed 2 baskets, and might as well
Yes.
just throw yourself off a cliff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only problem with these kind of high over unders is
Sitting
that
there in the first quarter, man, I need overtime.
yeah, yeah, I need overtime, but it's only the first quarter. It's
16 all.
shot,
Yeah, I
man.
know, but look at the pace.
Yeah, the pace is this is a game where it's not only a matter of the pace. It's a matter of neither of these teams have good interior defense. That's another thing, is that no one has, like, as good as Sabonis is, and as good as you have Lauri Markkanen and somebody else, but they don't protect it. Like, they're not true rim protectors. Like, anyone, like De'Aaron Fox could have a field day just going to the rim, and vice versa for Jordan Clarkson or anyone over there. But yeah, this is a game where the pace is gonna be so fun to watch that I actually saw some people fading Harrison Barnes, and his points are at 14.5. My first thought was 14.5 is a really high line for Barnes. I don't think he matches up well here, but how do you take it under in a game that could easily have 250 points? That was my biggest thing, is that's a scary task, and that's coming from a guy that loves unders.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would lean towards taking the points here just because I think these are pretty even teams. I'm not sure I'm going to bet it. Maybe I'll look for something live. I would lean towards taking the points. Anything you guys have in pocket on this game?
Just Sabonis points.
Okay.
Yeah, he should have a field day, and Eli put it in the chat too that it was actually what I was going to mention. If you do like the Kings, 20 and a win for Sabonis as a player performance double is plus 260. So
you add that to
Giannis.
If you add that to Giannis double and Bucks to win, that gets you to plus 479.
Yeah,
not bad.
And then you just
give
put
us
Marcus
give us
Smart.
a Celtics one, Brian.
I saw Marcus Smart 10 points in a win. That's a good one there. But at this point, might as well just take the value with the Thunder at plus $1 million. So you could do that. You could do that.
The bank is open, presented by Pickett Sports, Props.cash. Pickett Sports and Props.cash, both essential needs for all of your betting. So check them out, Props.cash, Pickett Sports. We cover the NBA. I think we got to touch on NFL. And obviously, before we get to what we're going to talk about, look, all of us are checking our phones every hour, every half hour for updates. We're all obviously wishing for the best. That was awful to watch last night. Let's just get to the NFL side of it, because after all, this is a betting show. Do either of you guys think, Nick, you can start. Either of you guys think they'll actually finish Bills Bengals? I don't think there's any chance they will. Do you think so?
Nope, not a chance they finish it.
Just doesn't get played, right?
Nope.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Brian?
I guess I'll be like the contrarian here, but I wouldn't be shocked if they don't play it. But I've been thinking about all the like I said, I mentioned before the show, like they're all rumors right now. But if there is a way where they can say play it this weekend and push everything back, it's really tough. But there's just so much playoff implications with these two teams that it's just so hard to find a reality where they can just say 16 game schedule and everything else is just like goes on as normal. I just think that's like one of those things where I'm not saying they should play it or they will play it, but I just don't see how you make that work in the grand scheme of playoff seeding, draft seeding,
right?
Like incentives. And it's like, it's even extra tough. It's a matter of like the game started. Like that sounds weird, but it's like Hayden Hurst needed these catches for incentive. Right. Tyler Boyd's got a touchdown. Does he have a touchdown on his stats? Is it
right?
Like, yeah, like what's like, I know like it's almost meaningless to say, but like if you're Tyler Boyd, like maybe he wants the touchdown. Yeah, there's so much into it where it's like you're in the middle of a game where it's such a rock and a hard spot where you can't just do away with what happened in the game, but at the same point, what else can you do?
Well, how about this? I mean, if this game is not played, and I really don't think it will be played. I just don't think it makes sense. I just think you just rule it a no contest. You just say, hey, the game basically, it never took place. It doesn't count. The Bengals clinched the division because they'll be a game and a half ahead of the Ravens. The Chiefs would just need a win against Vegas on Saturday to wrap up the 1 seed. That puts the Bills at the 2 seed. So maybe the Bills are in such a mental position right now. You know what? We don't really care about the 1 or the 2 seed. One of our teammates is fighting for his life. We'll deal with whatever seed we got to deal with. If we have to play an extra game, there's more important things. So my guess is that's the outcome, but there's obviously enormous implications. Really, I think the big one is the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs come out here and like, wow, we're 1 win away from being the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, it helped.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say was that the Tone Step in the chat's also mentioning it because the Ravens would have been in a great spot if the Bills won last night. You know, that there's like
They could have won
it's
the
like a
division,
matter of
yeah.
there's exactly. There's just so much implications outside
Right.
of the two teams that are playing, because like it's so hard to think you can just nullify and not play a game for two non-playoff teams. But when it comes to two teams with all the implications, I just don't understand logistically how you can just say, "Oh, this game never happened." Sorry, everybody. Like, it's so tough.
I think the fact that they're both in the playoffs and it's just a matter of seeding helps. Like if this were a win or get in, that would be really tough. You know, it's obviously again frivolous, but people's fantasy championships games, like there were this is the finals for a lot of people. A lot of people don't use week 18. They have a lot of like 2-point games, and you got this guy and that guy. It's like it's a nightmare for lots of, like you said, logistics.
Yeah, and it's, as you mentioned, as quote unquote you said, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of thing, which I agree. But as someone that needed 75 points from Joe Burrow and Stephon Diggs, I started out well. I mean,
Right.
I was so close to that 75 plus. So honestly, I'm the commissioner of my league, and I think it should just be a 50-50 split.
Yeah,
I was definitely going to get that 75 points. So there's no point in splitting hairs. So I think I'll just make the executive decision as a commissioner to split the money. I think everyone would agree with me there.
I mean, I think Goodell could learn a lot from you. You sound just like a ridiculously overqualified commissioner.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised also they took so long to decide that game. And
yeah, it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot.
It is.
Because like you said, they really didn't want to do what they did. And if you get a positive, if you get positive medical news, 15 minutes after or something, okay, like then it doesn't make sense not to play. So it was just a very awkward situation. So I know what you mean. It went on for a while. It was, boy, never seen anything like that, obviously.
Yeah, and then I want Nick's opinion on here too, because my thinking is as much or as shitty as it sounds, because it's not trying to be insensitive, because that was one of the scariest things I've ever seen, and I've been someone that's been playing sports since I was 3 years old, and I don't think I've ever seen a scene like that. And I thought the best way they could have done it is, I know they're waiting on positive news, but it almost felt like in my mind they should have just moved it to Thursday night, had it played, make them play like on Tuesday, so that way they can almost.
But then they got a playoff game Saturday or Sunday. Like, boy,
yeah, it wouldn't
really
have been close. Yeah, but it's just one of those things where I feel like their window to finish that game was Wednesday or Thursday, and now that they're saying they're not going to play it this week, it really just begs the question of what the hell do you do then?
That's why I think they just scrap it. I mean, what are you going to do unless they play the game? Unless they somehow have this moment where, all right, we're going to play, and Buffalo's already back. The Bills are already back in Buffalo. They flew right back home. Like, unless they somehow decide, hey, we're going to play this game Wednesday night, which I don't know that you do that. I don't think that's likely. I just see them scrapping the game. I don't really see the other outcomes or possibilities.
The NFL did say it will not be played this week.
Oh, they did.
Which is which is my point, was I thought that would be the best avenue to try to make it work for all parties. And when they announced that today, I was like, I don't even know where you go from there.
Yeah.
I think it's like Will said, though, like the thing that this compared the most to me is like I started watching soccer like around the COVID stuff, and I think it was Christian Eriksen on Denmark collapsed on the field and they had to do CPR and stuff to him. Then they took him to the hospital, and then like Will said, they got the okay. He was up and he wanted everyone to continue playing, so they picked the game back up. But this was just completely different because everyone was just sitting there waiting and nothing was being said. So it just put everyone in an awkward spot. I mean, tough making those decisions. I would not want to be in the position making those decisions. It was tough doing the announcing. I mean, I felt bad for the people in studio. It's like they kept kicking it back to people. What are they supposed to say?
Right. Oh, that was really bad. Yeah, that was tough. Everyone did it.
Especially when you have 40 minutes of airtime to like cover. Right. Anyway, it was so hard to watch. Just like because like obviously it's harder for the people involved, but for the people that had to cover it, like that was just kind of had to witness it and cover airtime. It was very interesting to see how they, just kept almost playing like hot potato with the cutaways.
Yeah, that's I mean, think about that. If that's the three of us, and we got to sit there and talk about that for, as it's happening for however long. I mean, my goodness, that's a tough spot to be in. Really is.
And you just don't know anything, so you can't. Yeah, you can't say anything.
And one thing that I was saying earlier today too is that not lucky, because it's still a serious situation. But if you're gonna, have no pulse and need to have an AED come out to help revive you, like I guess there's like a football field where there's 40 trained medical
Yeah, he got
personnel.
immediate
Like it was
attention.
like that immediate attention was one of those things where if they weren't ready and responded as quickly as they did, like we wouldn't even know what position we'd be in right now, which is
Right.
saying a lot. So that's one of the things that I was considering too. It's just a matter of, the way that they were able to get in right away was such a huge difference in like the overall, aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that pretty much covered. Anything else you guys want to wrap up with before we get out of here?
How many carries does Derrick Henry get against the Jaguars?
Oh boy, a whole bunch. A whole
63. Bunch. I'm sitting the line at 63.5.
63. Interesting. I might.
Oh yeah,
What's
Nick,
that,
do you
Eli?
want to go with your international question of the day?
Yeah. So you get starting 5 basketball game. You can draft your international team versus United States team. Who are you taking and who wins?
All right, we got to figure some stuff out first before we can answer this. Who's the starting 5 for each?
That's part
of the game. Well, pay attention.
I know. Well, I'm saying we could talk it out together.
So you got to take Giannis, Joker.
Yep.
Luka, Embiid.
Okay. What team's Embiid? Embiid's international?
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of size. I'm leaning towards international already.
And I don't know who you take as your
Jokic,
fifth.
Luka. Is Wembanyama eligible?
He's not draft eligible yet.
He's not draft eligible. Okay. Embiid, Jokic, Luka, Giannis. Trying to think of who a fifth would be. Who would a fifth be?
Siakam.
Yeah.
We're gonna play some positionless basketball here. Holy hell. This is gonna be just
Yeah, we are. We really are, but it might work. How about for the US? Who's the 5?
Probably
Curry,
Tatum.
Curry, Tatum,
KD,
Kawhi still?
So here's my question: are we drafting this best 5, or like who would work together? Because that also could matter as well.
Yeah.
You probably gonna need some type of center on that team.
Yeah.
Who do you take? Bam? I don't know who you take.
No, I don't think I wouldn't put Ben Davis if he were healthy.
Healthy.
He's not
Davis.
Healthy Davis.
Yeah, that's the only problem is that a healthy starting 5. You're gonna have
LeBron's not on the team.
You got. I would go LeBron.
Yeah,
we saw by the Lakers experiment. LeBron and Davis obviously play so well together.
Be a little different if they had Curry and Curry, Tatum, and KD shooting the ball around them. They'd have a little more spacing.
Yeah,
it would work
a little bit more spacing. After last night, put spread out there.
Yeah, I think the international team would be laying a few baskets. I'll put it that way. That's
5.5. 5.5, I'd say.
5.5.
A couple guys we haven't mentioned that are just on the top 20 NBC Sports NBA players: James Harden, Karl Anthony Towns, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell,
Dame
Lillard, Paul George. Paul George.
The only one I would consider is Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler would be the only one I consider.
Butler's a fair one.
He'd be the only one I consider.
Butler's definitely a fair one. Would you put him over Kawhi or LeBron? I don't know that I would.
No.
Still LeBron.
Well, Kawhi was listed out for an illness and he was already ruled out for this game.
He's next to Davis on the bench. Yeah.
I will say this would be an interesting one where I think it'd be interesting to think if we all prepared say a starting 5 with 3 subs and brought it onto the show without it being laid on us. So bomb drop so that Zion Williamson, he's gonna miss a few weeks, so we can't pick him either.
The U.S. team could go after Luka and Jokic on defense a little bit to keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, they'd have to put so much pace. Shooting. That's honestly, it's all about pace. They would have to run
so threes.
Much
they could shoot threes too because Jokic shoots them a little bit and Luka shoots them, but
probably aren't getting many rebounds though.
Right.
Yeah, their offensive rebounding is gonna be shot. They would be lucky.
Well, you need to. Well, if you're shooting long threes equal long offensive rebounds, so maybe you get some longer ones.
Yeah, honestly, Embiid would go to the line 40 times because who the hell is D'ing him up in the paint? Who's gonna make that stop? Nobody.
Yeah,
and
you
if he
probably
gets
need Davis or
doubled,
something.
if he gets doubled, then you have
Right.
the best players in the world around them. That'd be interesting to think about. They should do that instead of the
It'd be
All-Star
better
game.
than
They
the
should
All-Star,
just
100%.
yeah,
100%.
that would be way
Absolutely.
more fun.
Way more fun, especially since they don't go do East and West anymore anyway. It's not traditional. It's all just like, you know, is it? No, they draft teams. They have captains and stuff. It's all convoluted, which it was cool at first, but that's gotten, I don't know. I'm not into it.
It's gotten too overplayed.
Yeah, it has. All right, guys. This was fun. We covered a lot of different things. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered a good amount in a very small slate.
Yes. Yeah, that was this was good. All right, guys. Props.cash, Pickett Sports. The bank is open. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back Thursday. See you then.